Okay, boys and girls, in our sketchbooks just now, we talked about the difference between these two paintings and what they have in common, and we pretty much agreed that this kind of looks like a nighttime sky or a landscape with a village down below, and this one looks very similar, but there's some Star Wars characters in this painting. Something funny is kind of happening in this one. So we're going to talk now about this very famous painting right here called the Starry Night, who painted it, and why this painting is kind of funny or making fun of the painting. So our project is going to be called Starry Night Parodies. We'll talk about what a parody is in a minute, but right now we're going to talk about our new artist, Vincent Van Gogh. Here's a portrait that he painted of himself, so this is what he looked like back in the day, many hundreds of years ago. He was a painter, and he worked with a style of art called Impressionism. So Impressionism is just a funny word, and what it means is his style of art, he's using small, little, thin brush strokes of paint. And those small little thin brush strokes of paint show a lot of movement and emotion in his paintings. And it's not exactly realistic, it's more of an abstract type of painting, and the colors really blend together. He was really interested in showing the way that light happens in a work of art. How can you show light with your paint? So looking at a realistic landscape, this is a real painting of a landscape, and here's the difference between a real landscape and an abstract Vincent Van Gogh landscape. So we can see these tiny little brush strokes of paint all throughout the work of art. He made most of his paintings with that Impressionism style. So whenever we see those tiny little brush strokes, we can tell it's a Vincent Van Gogh painting. Again, you can see another one of his paintings. Those tiny little brush strokes looks very different from this smooth, realistic looking landscape. So let's talk about the Starry Night. The Starry Night was painted by Vincent Van Gogh one night when he was in his village down below here, and he looked up at the sky, and he became very emotional when he saw the sky. He was going through kind of a hard time at this time, but the sky just looked so beautiful that it felt so calming to him, and he felt like he really had to paint it. So he was really interested in the way that the moon and the stars shine throughout this sky to show the movement of the sky and the light in the sky. So he was really interested in movement, light, and emotion. So here's a few more of his paintings right here. We'll talk a lot more about Vincent Van Gogh, but right now we're going to talk about the word parody. A parody is a funny version of something that is very well known or famous, like a painting. So looking at the Starry Night, we see this very famous painting in a lot of different places, and so a lot of artists will make a funny version of Starry Night since it's so famous, and so here is a first funny version of Starry Night. You can see the style of the Starry Night, the colors, the lines, and the village down below, but this artist has added a funny twist, which is these Batman elements. So this is Batman Starry Night. Here's another version of Starry Night. Here's Snoopy Starry Night. So we can see a lot of artists will make a parody of this famous painting Starry Night and add different elements to it to make it funny. Here's Avocado Starry Night, those avocados floating throughout the sky of Starry Night. And Outer Space UFO Starry Night. Okay? So another painting that's very famous is this one. We haven't looked at this painting yet. We will look at this painting later. But artists will take many well-known paintings like this one and turn these into funny paintings too. As you can see, these clocks are kind of turning into melting pizzas, so that's a funny version of this painting. And another funny version of this painting, you can see the SpongeBob. So it's very similar, but they've just turned some of these pictures into SpongeBob elements. Okay, now let's look at our Mona Lisa. She is one of the most famous paintings, so she has a lot of parody paintings of her. So some artists will take her and change her outfit or change her expression. So this is Star Wars Mona Lisa. There's another famous painting, you might have seen this in the art room before. A lot of artists will take this painting and change up the characters in this one to make it kind of funny. Okay. So here's a bonus question. Can you find any parodies in this classroom? Any paintings that look kind of funny, like an artist has turned that painting into something different? So if you look at those minions behind us, you can see that each of those minions is a famous work of art, but the artist has put a minion inside of them, kind of like Minion Mona Lisa here, to make them a parody painting. Okay? So here's our last parody that we're going to look at, our famous Vincent Van Gogh. Someone has turned him into Lego Van Gogh, okay? So our goal is going to be make to make our own Starry Night parody painting. So we're going to start by painting the background, and then we'll talk about what parody funny elements we're going to put inside of our paintings later. But today we're going to start with this painting background, and we're going to be using the same types of colors that we see in Starry Night.